everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into something that so many people struggle with: how to stay motivated without pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion. If you've ever felt like you're working hard but getting nowhere, or like you're running on empty, this episode is for you. Let's be real. There's a fine line between being ambitious and completely burning out. Maybe you've been there before. You start off feeling unstoppable, waking up early, working late, grinding every single day because you're determined to make things happen. But at some point, something shifts. The excitement fades. You start feeling tired all the time. Even the things you once enjoyed start to feel like a chore. Instead of being productive, you find yourself procrastinating, feeling stuck, or just completely drained. And that's because motivation isn't unlimited. It's like fuel in a tank. If you keep going without refilling, you're going to run out. And when that happens, burnout takes over. The problem is, a lot of us think we just need to push harder, work longer hours, or force ourselves through it. But that's exactly what leads to exhaustion. So, in this episode, I want to break it all down. How to know if you're just unmotivated or actually burned out. The toxic side of hustle culture that no one really talks about. And most importantly, how to push yourself without breaking yourself. Because success isn't about running yourself into the ground. It's about learning how to keep going in a way that's actually sustainable. And by the end of this episode, you'll have a game plan to stay motivated, avoid burnout, and actually make progress toward your goals without feeling like you're constantly running on fumes. So, if you're ready to figure this out, stay with me. Let's get into it. We live in a world that constantly tells us to hustle, push harder, and never slow down. Everywhere you look, people are glorifying the idea of working nonstop, sacrificing sleep, rest, and even happiness for the sake of success. The problem is, no one really talks about what happens when this mentality goes too far. No one talks about the exhaustion, the frustration, the feeling of waking up one day and realizing that the passion you once had is gone. When that happens, most people assume they're just unmotivated. They think they're being lazy, that they need to push harder. But what if it's not a lack of motivation? What if it's burnout? Motivation is what drives us to take action. It's that fire inside that makes us excited to chase our goals, to put in the effort, to keep going even when things get tough. It can come from different places. Sometimes it's internal, like when we do something simply because we love it, because it brings us joy. Other times, it's external, like working hard to earn money, to get recognition, to meet expectations. But here's the problem with motivation. It's temporary. Some days, you wake up ready to take on the world. Other days, even the smallest tasks feel overwhelming. And when motivation fades, most people start to panic. They think something is wrong with them, that they need to force themselves to keep going, to work even harder. That's where burnout begins. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. It builds up over time, slowly draining your energy, your creativity, and your passion. At first, it feels like regular exhaustion. You tell yourself you just need more sleep, maybe a day off. But then, even after resting, you still feel tired. You start losing interest in things you used to enjoy. Work, school, even hobbies begin to feel like a chore. You find yourself procrastinating, not because you don't care, but because you're mentally and emotionally drained. The smallest tasks feel overwhelming. No matter how much you do, it never feels like enough. You might feel irritable, frustrated, or even numb, like you're just going through the motions without really feeling anything. And yet, in a culture that glorifies hustle and constant productivity, burnout is often ignored or even celebrated. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, as if being constantly overworked is proof that they're successful. You hear things like, You have the same 24 hours as everyone else, so use them wisely, or if you're not grinding, you're falling behind. These messages make it seem like rest is a weakness, like taking a break means you're not working hard enough. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is, pushing yourself beyond your limits doesn't make you more productive. It makes you less productive. It kills creativity, slows progress, and makes even the simplest tasks feel impossible. Recognizing burnout early is crucial because if you ignore it, it only gets worse. It starts with small signs, feeling tired all the time, struggling to concentrate, getting sick more often. Then it affects your emotions. You feel detached, unmotivated, maybe even resentful of the things you used to love. Eventually, it takes over your behavior. You procrastinate more, avoid responsibilities, and rely on distractions just to escape the stress. And the longer it goes unchecked, the harder it is to recover. So, how do you stay motivated without burning out? The key isn't to stop pushing yourself. It's learning how to push in a way that's actually sustainable. It starts with setting realistic goals. Instead of overwhelming yourself with huge expectations, break things down into smaller, manageable steps. Focus on progress, not perfection. Perfectionism is one of the biggest causes of burnout because it makes you feel like nothing is ever good enough. Instead of aiming to be perfect, aim to improve, even if it's just a little bit each day. Rest and recovery are just as important as hard work. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Taking breaks isn't wasting time. It's what allows you to stay productive in the long run. The most successful people don't work nonstop. They work smart. They follow structured work cycles, taking breaks at regular intervals to recharge, whether it's using techniques like the Pomodoro method, where you work for short bursts and rest in between, or simply listening to your body and knowing when to step back. Finding a rhythm that balances work and rest is essential. Learning to say no is another powerful way to prevent burnout. Overcommitting leads to exhaustion. You don't have to say yes to everything. Prioritize what truly matters and let go of things that drain your energy without adding value to your life. Ask yourself, is this helping me move forward, or is it just making me feel overwhelmed? Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you're smart about how you use your time and energy. And perhaps the most important thing, build habits and routines that keep you going even when motivation fades. Motivation will always come and go, but discipline is what keeps you on track. The most successful people don't rely on motivation alone. They create routines that make success a daily habit. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to take action, they make taking action a normal part of their day. Motivation is great, but it's unreliable. Some days you'll feel inspired, and other days you won't. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. When you have habits in place, when you have a structured routine, you don't have to wait until you feel motivated. You just do what needs to be done. If you're feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or stuck in a cycle of burnout, it's time to make a change. Success isn't about pushing yourself until you break. It's about finding a way to keep going without destroying yourself in the process. Moving forward, challenge yourself to work smarter, not harder. Set realistic goals, take intentional breaks, prioritize rest just as much as productivity, and shift your mindset from hustle nonstop to work smart, rest well, and stay consistent. Pushing yourself doesn't mean breaking yourself. The real key to success is finding balance. To wrap things up, it's important to understand that motivation alone isn't enough to achieve lasting success. While it can be the spark that gets you started, relying solely on motivation without considering balance can lead to burnout. Burnout isn't something that happens suddenly. It's a gradual process, and if left unchecked, it can have serious consequences on your productivity, creativity, and mental health. But here's the good news. Burnout is preventable. By taking the time to recognize the signs early on, you can take proactive steps to preserve your energy and well-being while still striving for your goals. It's all about finding that balance. You don't need to work nonstop to succeed. In fact, working smarter and more strategically will get you much further in the long run. Setting realistic, achievable goals, focusing on progress rather than perfection, prioritizing rest, and listening to your body are all essential pieces of the puzzle. The truth is, success isn't a race. It's a marathon. And in order to go the distance, you need to pace yourself. So, as you move forward in your journey, remember to treat yourself with kindness and patience. Success will come, but it's crucial to take care of yourself every step of the way. Build habits and routines that support your goals and allow for rest and recovery. And most importantly, remind yourself that pushing yourself doesn't mean breaking yourself. It's not about doing it all at once. It's about creating sustainable momentum that allows you to thrive over time. Thank you so much for tuning in today and being a part of this conversation. I hope you found this episode valuable and that you now feel equipped with the tools to stay motivated without burning out. Remember, it's okay to take breaks, it's okay to rest, and it's okay to slow down when needed. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced burnout? How did you deal with it? Please feel free to share in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. Take care of yourself, stay balanced, and keep moving forward. I'll see you in the next episode.